We want libertarian votes because you stand for what we stand for, and don't waste a vote.
Former President Donald Trump did not get a very warm reception at the Libertarian Convention, which doesn't surprise me. The event, which had about 1,000 attendees, did not react well to the former Republican president asking them for their votes. In fact, Trump got a little salty in response to the booing.
That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years.
Okay, for one, it's hilarious to see him get booed. I'm always up for that. That said, Trump with a good comeback. Hey, that is a fair comeback. The Libertarians are not exactly doing the best electorally. They never have. Interestingly enough, one of the applause lines that he did get from this crowd was when Trump promised to be soft on crime. Ha! So he promised a pardon to Ross Ulbricht. So this is a guy who created the dark web operation called the Silk Road, which happened to facilitate illegal drug trafficking. Oops. In fact, Ulbricht was convicted on counts of engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise, distributing narcotics by means of the internet, conspiring to distribute narcotics, conspiring to commit money laundering, conspiring to traffic in false identity documents, and conspiring to commit computer hacking. So the man was given life in prison without the possibility of parole, along with $183 million in fines. Now, look, personally, I think that life in prison without parole is pretty harsh. All right, that is over harsh, in my opinion. I'm a criminal justice reform advocate. Okay, so now that said, Trump does not care. He's not a criminal justice reform advocate. No, the only kind of criminal justice reform that he prefers is reform that ensures that he does not get in trouble, that he stays out of prison, okay? That said, he promised this in order to get the support of libertarians. Again, I don't think a lot of them are going to fall for it, but let's be honest, it's pretty transactional, and it's also pretty hypocritical considering Trump's stance on, well, drug traffickers. In fact, he had earlier called for the death penalty for anyone caught or dealing or trafficking in drugs. He said, we're going to be asking everyone who sells drugs, gets caught selling drugs, to receive the death penalty for their heinous acts. Because it's the only way. We've got to do it. We don't have a choice. Here's another quote from Manchester Community College. This was back in 2018. He said, quote, if we don't get tough on drug dealers, we're wasting our time. Just remember that. We're wasting our time. And that toughness includes the death penalty. Once again, along with being a criminal justice reform advocate, I'm also a staunch opponent of the death penalty. Okay. Now, the 2024 campaign, this is the Trump campaign agenda, reads this. When President Trump is back in the White House, the drug kingpins and vicious traffickers will never sleep soundly again. You know, because they'll be murdered. Okay. Now, here's the thing about that, right? Trump calls for the death penalty for drug traffickers. But when he does that, he means minorities, because in his mind, those are the ones who are dangerous. One of the bigger drug dealers in this country is pharmaceutical companies. I mean, they're responsible for the opioid epidemic in the first place, okay? But the people who run that are the Sackler family. You think Donald Trump is going to call for the death penalty for the Sackler family? No, they're incredibly wealthy and white. So when he talks about, oh, I'm going to go after the drug traffickers, I'm going to go after the drug dealers, he means black people. And let's be honest about that. And you know, it's, again,
the Republican Party's racist.
That's their policy on this one. Now, look, Ross Ulbricht, by the way, getting back to him, he's also a white guy and was a fairly wealthy one at that. I think it's an important distinction here, and that it should be noted. But like I said before, Donald Trump did not do well with the crowd And that's because libertarians, let's be honest, they've got some wacky policy positions, okay? Even though I tend to agree with them a little bit more on like, hey, let's end the wars and things like that. Great, wonderful. Let's reduce the size of the military-industrial complex or get rid of that entirely and reduce the military to what it was supposed to do, which is to protect our borders against invasion. All right, lovely, great. So now, libertarians, though, they're like, let's get rid of income taxes, which I'm sure Donald Trump would be totally in favor of. He cut taxes massively, but not to the point where libertarians want it. They want to get rid of old taxation. Another thing they want to get rid of is things like Social Security. Donald Trump, again, has to, be like, I'm going to protect Social Security, even though the Trump administration and Republicans actually do want to put massive cuts in Social Security as well as to privatize it, right? But openly, he has to say, oh, no, I believe in Social Security. All right. So that said, Donald Trump, he is big government. Okay, let's be honest about that, too. Trump is big government, but just big government that helps corporations like his own, as well as big government that he can use to target his enemies. So let's be honest about that. Now, I have one more video here, and this is just some, one of Trump's allies. This is Mike Lee getting booed, and then a Trump chant that was getting interrupted by more boos.
I encourage you, take a listen to Donald Trump, support Donald Trump, restore the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Not so based, are we, Mike Lee? Because that's his X or Twitter handle, whatever, based on Mike Lee. Not so much. Tough crowd, all right? Tough crowd. Now, that said, in an emailed statement to Newsweek on Saturday night, Jason Miller said that they knew that this was not exactly home base for the Republican frontrunner. There will be people who want him there and people who don't want him there. But we're on the offense and competing for non-traditional votes in order to unite the country. Yeah, nothing about Trump's campaign says anything about uniting the country, all right? Incredibly divisive. Now, Miller continues. He says, President Trump is going to get credit for showing up and making clear he wants to earn votes from members of the Libertarian Party and people who view themselves as being more libertarian-minded. So, now, here's the thing. There's a lot of criticism for Biden not showing up to speak to the libertarians. I think there's some validity there. Not for missing the libertarians. Like, let's be honest, he's not going to get their vote, and they're about 3 to 4%. Then again, Biden needs as much as he can get, right? What the problem is, and something that I think Democrats need to be paying more attention to, is the fact that right now the Biden campaign is pulling a Hillary Clinton, believing that there is no way that he could actually lose to Donald Trump. Well, I beat him the first time. What's the issue here? Well, there's a lot of issues. For one, it's not, it's not 2020 anymore. Okay, the country is kind of shifted, and yes, a lot of people have kind of forgotten about the disasters. It was 2017, 2018, etc. That was during the Trump administration, and the polling numbers for Biden are not so good. Now, the Biden campaign is ignoring pollsters. They're ignoring the warning signs. And there's a lot of issues here. A lot of young people turned out for 2020, might not turn out this time. There's not that energy. There's not that excitement. And there's not that, the feeling of danger among many voters that got them out to try to get rid of Trump. And so that is an issue here, okay? So while Trump is going out to places and he's getting booed, which, again, is entertaining, he is showing up. And that is notable. And it shows you that Trump's hungry for votes. Now, maybe it's just because he wants to stay out of prison desperately, and getting into power is pretty much the only way that, might guarantee that he stays out of prison. So that right there is quite the motivator, right? The issue here for Biden that I have is he doesn't seem as hungry for him. And that's a problem, okay? I mean, there's an election on the line. And again, the polling is not great, okay? Trump is leading in a lot of the swing states and a lot of the polls. And he shouldn't, Trump shouldn't be, okay? And Democrats, look, they're all saying, hey, this is the most important election ever, but we've heard that many, many, many times now. At this point, pretty much every election is the most important election ever. Democracy is on the ballot. Democracy is on the line. Okay, well, look, I don't disagree with that, but maybe it might be nice that the Biden campaign starts acting like it.